Okay, we're going to start the radiator install now. I did get the bulkhead pass-through for the wiring harness and gauge harness installed. Just a side note. So I went with a ColdCase, what they call their wide 2-core. ColdCase's claim to fame is that their 2-core radiator, because they use really wide cores, is actually got more BTU handling than 3-core radiators or even 4-core. It kind of makes sense. It's all about surface area. So anyway, I'm going to unbox this thing and kind of see what we're into. I bought this over a year ago when it was on sale. Hopefully everything's okay. Yeah. All right, let me just put this down for a second and I'll bring you back. Okay, this is the kit as it comes. One thing I can see already I'm a little disappointed in, it doesn't come with the mating plug for the fan. So we'll have to procure that and jump through hoops. But it seems like a well-built radiator. It's nice looking, very nice looking welds. This is the part number for the F body. Oh, and remember, if you live in California, this will kill you. But that's the part number that I used. Comes with the whole kit. Well, I believe the part number is amended. There's an appendix to that part number for the full kit. But anyway, this is a LS2 swap radiator, LS3 or LS swap radiator. And basically what that means is both inlets are on the same side. And this tank is divided, like right here, or in a couple places. So I believe this has to go through the radiator 2 or 3 times before it hits the outlet. Yeah, I believe it's twice, 3 times, so there's 2 dividers. So, and basically what that does is it just, you know, the old days, you'd come in on one side, force it through the core and back out on the other. Well, depending on where you went through, there might be hot spots, cold spots. This makes sure that there's very even cooling throughout. So we'll give this a go and see how it mounts up. I will have to find that the part number or something for that connector. Anyway, all right, I'll start fitting this up and see where I get. Okay, first problem. The passenger side where the filler neck is, the holes were spaced perfectly. Over here, I was off by about half a hole, so I basically had to widen them both just a little bit. Just, you know. So I'm going to give it another go and see how it fits. Okay, put the radiator hoses on. Actually pretty impressed. There is a little bit of stress right here at this joint. I can't tell if that's going to come out or stay in. I might take maybe a half an inch off from here, and that would slide in a little better and relieve some of that pressure. Probably was all it would take. That worked good. I'll show you the bottom hose here in a minute. I had to cut just a little bit off the bottom hose, about that much from the end of it, just after or just before the last bend. These are the hoses I used. The top hose is a Gates 23922, and the bottom hose is a Gates 23590. First try. I didn't really expect these to work all that great. So here we are. They work good. Pretty happy with that. So let me show you the bottom hose now. And this is how the bottom hose fits. It's pretty good. Yeah, not bad at all, considering. Okay, to wrap this up, yeah, I just cut a half an inch off the end of the top hose, and that relieved this just fine. I mean, there's so many variables, you know, how far back the motor is, how high the motor is, how high the radiator is. I'm amazed at how well these belts fit. I don't even know what these go to, but my suspicion is a Camaro of some sort, like a 2010 or something. So next thing I'm going to do, this radiator has a a steam port right here. And I'm going to run the steam port hose. I did the 4-corner steam port relief system here. So every corner is tied together, and then I'll take the steam off that back driver's side corner, bring that up across here and into this port. Should be pretty easy, but I'll definitely have to build that hose up for sure. But either way, just a PTFE hose, no big mystery. Okay, steam vents hooked up. It's just a 1/4-inch NPT right here out to an AN4, and then I route the hose to the steam port that I left open on the back corner. Just used a couple of little looms there to keep the hoses tight. But yeah, that should work out perfectly. I did end up putting an end on one of the hoses that I had. That way it worked out good, and then I had a splice in the middle so I could index them and get them to lay down right. If that doesn't work, I'll just make a hose that goes the whole way. So anyway, that's good. Next step on this radiator, I believe, I've got to do the hose clamps. Gotta look and see if I have hose clamps. And the radiator shrouds next. So we'll do that next. Okay, the fan goes on super easy. Basically, they give you these 4 feet. You just screw it to the shroud and then drop 2 self-drilling and tapping screws in. And that's it. Looks good. Pretty happy with this install. So the only thing I got left to do on this officially is the catch can, which I have to kind of work in with the other cans I have to mount, so I'm going to give that a little bit of time. But yeah, that's it for the ColdCase radiator install. I mean, pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm a little weirded out by this huge gap here. I'm not sure why they felt the need to do that. Might try to fill that with something just to dress it up a little bit and keep maximum airflow going through the radiator, which is always good. There's a lot of heat there, a lot of horsepower, which equals heat. So we gotta deal with it. Let's see if I can take this off real quick. I'm not sure if we can see in there or not. Oh yeah, we can. And you can see these are a 2-core, but they're a really super wide core, so they get good flow. And then there's a plate down in there, and I think this is a 3-pass radiator. Like I said before, it goes in the bottom, crisscrosses like 3 times, and then back out at the top. So that's how they do it for LS swaps. But yeah, pretty happy with this setup. I think that's going to be a good choice. All right, I'm going to move on to the catch can. Wanted to give you a better shot. It's really hard to see these pieces in the previous video. So I wanted to kind of get in here and zoom in on this. This is the clutch reservoir and the clutch bleeder, and of course the brake master cylinder. I've ordered the hoses to go from the brake master cylinder down to the frame. You can see the little red protective caps down in there. So that's all good. Those will be in this week. Everything's fine. What I'm doing now is I'm going to start to figure out where everything else has to mount under the hood here. Specifically catch cans. These are the catch cans and reservoirs that I need. So this catch can is an oil catch can, and basically it goes between the crankcase and the intake. So it comes out of here, goes through that catch can, and then back into the intake. The reason you want that catch can there is to trap any oil vapor from blow-by or whatever. You don't want all that oil getting sucked back in, although it is designed to do that, and they claim it's fine. I'm not a believer. Try to keep everything as clean as possible. So the oil catch can kind of just removes that vapor. This catch can is just exactly what it looks like. It's just a breather. So these valve covers have a nipple on each one that you plumb back to that breather, and then that breather just gives the valve covers ventilation. And of course it has a filter on it. It has baffling to keep it nice and clean, so everything should be pretty cool with that. This is the radiator catch can. So it's just basic overflow. There's nothing mysterious about that, except for where the hell I'm going to mount it. But we'll get to that. And then this is the power steering reservoir. Power steering reservoir is pretty simple can, with the exception of, hang on, that the only exception is that the input side has a little standoff baffle in it, so it pushes the fluid up before it draws back down. So this comes in, this small port comes in from the rack, and then this goes back to the pump. The large return, the AN10, goes back to the pump. So once I get that mounted, I'll be able to kind of figure out how all that gets plumbed in. Right now, the other thing I've got to dig out is, I believe there is a relay / fuse box for the engine control package. I'm going to need that as well. The reason being, I want to keep that under the hood, obviously, but whatever bracketry I use to mount these catch cans on both sides, I want to make sure one of them has provision for that fuse box or fuse panel, or whatever they're doing. I seem to remember there is one, so I've got to look that up. Anyway, what I'm kind of thinking is I'm just going to build a bracket that picks up a couple of these screws, maybe these three, and kind of comes up like this and over flat and gets fastened in here. Not 100% sure yet, but I figure something like that would look pretty clean and not be a crazy amount of work. So I'll bring you back when I got something to show you, but that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. Okay, that's it for the radiator install. I was able to make a simple bracket that hung the catch can right off the shroud. It worked out pretty good. And then I was able to also use that same bracket to locate my my power steering reservoir. So everything's fitting in here good. I got my wash, my reservoir, my catch can. On the other side, I'll have the two the oil catch cans. So we'll go from there.